Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elise, aka The Pretty Nerd, and today we're going to discuss The Black Friend by Frederick Joseph. Okay, before I get into this review, I must say, Mr. Frederick Joseph, this book here, top tier. Top tier, chef's kiss, like, you deserve all the good things. I have read this book and laughed with you in certain parts of this book. If you know, you know, if you read it. And I have felt your plight. I have resonated with other parts of this book. Like, this book is so necessary. The way you write is so necessary. Your experiences, your commentary, the way you are woke and trying to wake those who are in a position of power, in a position to help African Americans, in a position to lessen the plight of African Americans is just so necessary. Sir, I see you. Thank you for such beautifully written, profound work. Give this man his flowers, okay? Because he needs it. He deserves it. And now we're going to get into this review.
Okay, so let's get on into this review. I do not have a physical copy of the book like I normally do because once I finish reading it, I pass it along to my best friend. And I implore you all to do so as well. Once you get the book, you read the book, pass it along. This is not a gem that you keep to yourself. This is one that you share with others. I implore you all to share it with people you know. Have them share it with people they know so that we can get the word out so more people can be blessed and changed and renewed by reading this book. I know y'all like, Elise, what? But I promise you, it's all of that. All of that. With the social climate of this world and the way black people and people of color have been treated, this book is so necessary that it has to be passed along. It has to be seen by people that may not see it, that may not want to read it, that may have never thought about reading something like this. This might not be their genre, but it's so necessary for everybody, for every single person. So in the previous clip, you've seen what the book looks like. The book is 272 pages. There is a encyclopedia in the back, or a dictionary, if you will. There's a playlist in the back of music and stuff to kind of get people acclimated with the culture, with things that resonate with the black community and other communities of color. Again, this is a gem that you can't hold on to on your own. Now, I'm going to share with you a few of my favorite parts of the book. One of the reasons, or many of the reasons, why I think the book is top tier, and we're going to get on into it, and I'm going to bless y'all like Frederick Joseph blessed me, and we're going to have a good time. Okay, y'all, I took notes because this book is so chock full of information and experiences that I can relate to as a person of color, and that I'm sure many other people of color can relate to. This is not an original story. These are stories that we have heard our entire lives. These are experiences we have felt, and our parents have felt, and our great-grandparents have felt, and so on, all the way leading back to slavery, that we have all heard and experienced as people of color our entire lives. I took notes, though, so that I could talk about some of the most important parts of the book, some of the most important experiences that could help, one, describe how great this book is, and two, help non-people of color understand why their need to change their thinking is so important for people of color. The two first talking points I want to discuss are the phrases, "I don't see color," and "Why does everything have to be about race?" And to put it simply, because what isn't about race? When you apply for a job, they ask you what your race is. When you take tests in school as a child, they ask you what your race is. There is nothing in this world that we do that does not define you by your race. So for you to tell me, or you to tell any black person or person of color that you don't see race, what are you seeing then? I'll wait. Yes, I'm a woman, and you can see that I'm a woman, but directly after you noticing that I'm a woman, you also notice that I'm a black woman. or you notice that that's a black man or another person of color as well as their gender. You notice that. So saying that you don't see color is a statement that should just be removed out of your thought process, out of your vocabulary, out of the way you see things, because everybody sees color. Unless you're blind, everybody sees color. So stop saying that. Stop saying that you say that in a way to justify how you aren't like them and you see people as who they are. Well, if you see me as who I am, you see me as a black woman. You see my son as a black boy, and my father as a black man, and my daughter as a black woman. You see us, for people that happen to be melanated. That's it. Another great talking point in the book is that he says black people are dynamic. And that was so beautiful to me. Dynamic because we have to be everything for everybody. We have to do and be so great and so powerful and so energetic that we have to encompass all of these things just to exist. For example, there are white people who only know trendy black music, but you can almost ask any black person about music outside of what is considered black genres, and we know it. We have to encompass everything because we have to be well-rounded individuals. We have to be individuals that are well-versed. That's what makes us dynamic. That's what makes us important. That's what makes us beautiful, because we can't just stay in the box that so many white people have the privilege of confining themselves to. We have to almost daily step outside of that and gain experience and knowledge about things that don't even concern us, things that aren't even made for us, so that we can identify with people of all colors and all races on all levels, just to be seen and heard and understood, so that we can relate to other people. We're dynamic and beautiful and important. I don't know how else to say it, but that part of the book just was like validation that you are so much more than your skin color. You are so beautiful. You are so powerful about yourself, the way that you can just go through life and have to encompass all these different parts of you to make you whole and make you relevant, and you do it with such grace and such class and such passion that other people don't even have to, and they don't even understand it. And it's so beautiful. Another great talking point in the book is when he details that certain things are racist even if you don't know it. And oftentimes those things look like microaggressions. And for those of you who don't know what a microaggression is, by definition, microaggressions are the everyday verbal, nonverbal, and environmental slights, snubs, or insults, whether intentional or unintentional, that communicate hostile, derogatory, or negative messages to target persons based solely upon their marginalized group membership. For example, I have a friend who would post things about people of color when they did something horrible. Like, there was this guy here in my city who was on the freeway and he was like shooting at people on the freeway, like GTA in real life. Okay? And she posted this thread written by white people who clearly don't like black people. And in the thread, it was calling him all kinds of derogatory names, like he was a monster and he was all kind of things that align with that ideology. And every comment on her post was a white woman further commenting damaging ideology about black people. But when white people do very similar things, she's very quiet. She don't post nothing about it. She don't say nothing about it. And I can agree that what the black man did on the freeway is wrong. I think every person of color would agree to that. However, if you are quiet when people that look like you are doing wrong things, but are very vocal when people that look like me are doing wrong things, it's racist. And microaggressions are a form of racism. There are certain things that you just can't say. There are certain things that you just can't do that would have you aligned with people who are considered racist. And if you don't want to be considered racist, then you need to make sure that you are aware of what you're saying, how you're saying it, why you're saying it, the connotation behind what you are saying. And most importantly, you have to be willing to have constructive conversations about it from people of color so that you can see where you're wrong and where you've been misguided and how you are perpetuating ideology that is detrimental to how black people are seen. Because we're already not seen fairly. And for the stereotypes to be perpetuated only continues to put us in a light that is negative. Another talking point was how we need to turn different into the new normal. He talks about in the book how there was a moment where he went to middle school, or it was high school, one of them, and he was around more white kids than he had ever been before. And for those white kids, it was their first time really like being around a black kid like him. And because this was their first time, all they knew about black people were stereotypes. So he had countless experiences of him being judged based on his neighborhood and being judged based on his skin color. So you're black, you must be a great athlete. You're black, you must have seen shootings and things like that in your neighborhood growing up. And the problem with that mindset is that if you aren't around people that look different than you, you don't learn anything. All you know is that based on stereotypes that have been passed down through parents or media or whatever, and you don't really get a real live interpretation that we are more than the environments we come from. We have more to offer, and you have more to learn. Period. Another important part about being around people that are different from you is that when you find that you have a lot more in common. You have a lot more that connects you than disconnects you. You have a lot more interests that are aligned with people that look different than you and might have different experiences than you would have thought. Like there was a moment in the book where he talked about how he was a fan of Star Wars, and the white kids were like, oh my God, I never would have thought that was something that you would have liked. I didn't even know black people watch Star Wars. And those are the kind of thought processes that you find yourself experiencing when you're not around people that don't look like you. There is something important and necessary about being around people that are diverse, because it opens your mind up to other possibilities, other ways of thinking, other ways of seeing things, other ways of experiencing the world around you, because there's not just one way. There's multiple ways, and everybody of color and everybody of non-color, we all have different experiences, and when we come together and we're around each other, we learn from each other how different the world is from somebody else, but how beautiful it could be at the same time. When you are around people that only look like you, you're stagnant. You're not growing to the capacity in which that you can grow. So that's why you see in jobs, there's whole departments geared towards diversity, because they know that when you are around people that don't look like you, there is so much growth that happens from that. There is so much growth for the community. There's so much growth for the company. There's so much growth for the individuals involved in it. There's so much growth within the work climate. Diversity is important. Diversity and inclusion is important. Another great talking point was affirmative action. And again, we talk about stereotypes. And in the book, he talks about how he was in a class or watched a YouTube video, and there was a lesson on affirmative action, and how white people think that affirmative action is black people being handed something because of their race, when that couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. Affirmative action is not a handout for minorities. It is equitable action for people who are qualified. It allows black people and other people of color to be put in positions that they are oftentimes overqualified for, so that they have opportunities to be seen, opportunities to be considered, opportunities to have the same opportunities that non-people of color have. We don't get anything for free. We have never got anything for free. And we will never get anything for free. It is a way to try to level the playing field. That's it. That's all. Stop thinking that affirmative action is handouts for people of color, because that is just simply not true. We were qualified. We deserved it. We worked our asses off for that opportunity. And affirmative action just helps us achieve what we have worked for. And oftentimes, it's still not at the rate in which we deserve to be seen and recognized and have opportunities. It's still less than. Far less than. That point leads straight into the point where he talks about many people of color are underestimated because of our race. We just seen that here with the nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson. She was the most qualified judge, and yet she has been questioned more than any of the people who are already sitting in that position. She is the most educated. She has the most trial experience. She has the most everything. She is overqualified, and yet they are still considering whether or not she was good enough based on her race. If the credentials on paper don't tell you, what will? That is why so many black people have been told growing up, and people of color have been told growing up, that you have to be twice as good. You have to work twice as hard, because even though who you are in person aligns with who you are in paper, because you are black, because you are a person of color, you will be deemed as less than. You will be deemed as less qualified. You will have to go through more ridicule, more steps, more judgment than a person who is white with less credentials. It's unfair. It's simply unfair. The whole point of this book is for non-white people to be able to see how so many things contribute to the racism and the systemic oppression of black people and people of color. And the book calls for white people to be more than allies, but accomplices. Not accomplices in crime, but accomplices in change. Meaning, your best friend can be black, and something happens to your best friend when you are present or even not present, and instead of being quiet, you have uncomfortable conversations with people who need to have it. You are an advocate for change for black people. You are an accomplice with black people to help change the climate of racism. we can't change it alone, because a system that wasn't designed for you cannot be changed by you. You need people who the system was designed for to help change it so that you are included in the system, so that you are appreciated, so that you are seen, so that you are not treated as less than. So I implore anybody who is white, who doesn't consider themselves a racist, who wants to be a part of change, to read this book and have conversations with people that you might find uncomfortable, that you might be scared of. Show up for us. Stand in the gap for us. Because that's the only way things are going to change. Otherwise, we will continue having this conversation without seeing any real change, because we can't change it without the help of white people. We can't do it alone. I'm doing all I can with this review, with having conversations with my white best friend. She's having hard conversations with her family when it's necessary. And those kind of conversations and those kind of interactions with other people and other white people are necessary. We can't get there to a place of equity, not even equality, because black people are so far behind. We need equitable action, just to level the playing field. We can't get there without the help of white people. It was not my intention to offend anybody with this review of this book. It was only my intention to help people understand where black people are coming from, where we are struggling, where we need your help. And if you are offended, it might be because you have done some of the things that align with what black people or people of color would consider racist. And hopefully, after reading this or listening to this review and reading this book, it will call you to change and see life differently and see people of color differently, because there's so much more to us. We are so beautiful and so dynamic. We are so worth your help in changing the dynamic of how the world sees us. And I hope you will. On behalf of every black person, we thank those that are willing to help us stand in the gap and elicit change. We thank you, those of you who are willing to be accomplices in change, who are willing to get your hands dirty and your feet wet and are willing to fight the good fight with us. Thank you. As always, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. I have so many more reviews on so many different genres of books coming up, and I would love to share my opinions and my recommendations with you. If I have not said it already, this book is a 10 out of 10. Go get it. Read it. Share it. Post about it. Do all the things. Please do all the things, because the only way we elicit change is if we're vocal about what needs to change. And this book is a great talking point, is a great starting point. But stay tuned to the channel for more things to come. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good day.